Well, Warramayangani. Well, in the Darug language, I think that's g'day. And so I'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners, past and present, who have done the most amazing job looking after this country and passing on so much diversity for us to look after. Now, with a background in law, I took the brief very seriously, and I only provided one slide. Not that I can find it. Perhaps I could have a bit of help to find it. Yeah, thank you. So for those of you who don't really know KISS, or the Centre for Invasive Species Solutions, we're Australia's only national coordinator of research, development and extension. So what we do is we bring together all the best minds in the country to find solutions to some of those really nasty and tricky invasive species problems. We, just a bit like what Jess was saying, we don't do anything by ourselves. We work in collaboration. We work across government, industry, research institutes, and also the community. We take ideas from concept, we take them through that research, development, deploy those solutions, and take them all the way through to rapid uptake at scale. And that's really what sets us apart. So I know that I'm preaching to the converted here when I say that invasive species are probably the most significant and escalating threat to Australia's biodiversity and a leading driver of recent extinctions. We already have this incredible bank of knowledge, and as you're going to hear over the next 2 days, the most amazing, innovative ideas for addressing those challenges. But also we know that when we bring together things like effective solutions, the right tools, when we have the community on board, when we collaborate, we can really make big impacts at scale. The challenge is, though, that we need greater investment in those solutions, and we have to have that. We have to deliver it at scale if we're going to try and keep pace with the growing threat. So I thought I'd share some of my priorities, my 5 priorities, which I think will help to address the native species recovery in Australia. So the first one is an investment in biocontrol. And I might just preface this by saying that being the Centre for Invasive Species Solutions, I'm very focused on solutions. So I think one of the key ones is biocontrol, because biocontrol is one of the few tools that we have that offers long-term, scalable suppression of invasive species. It works across broad landscapes, it's highly targeted, and it can provide lasting environmental, agricultural and community health benefits. Just recently at the Centre, or KISS, we secured a $6 million grant from the Australian Government's Future Drought Fund to establish a coordinated national network for the mass rearing, release and monitoring of weed biocontrol agents. So things like weevils and thrips to target invasive weeds like African boxthorn, Sagittaria and Salvinia, weeds that smother native ecosystems and undermine landscape resilience. So this project is really exciting. It's expected to support over 20 cross-jurisdictional partnerships, involve all the different jurisdictions, coordinate community-led agent releases across the country, and it's going to directly enhance drought preparedness by improving not just pasture conditions, but natural landscapes and water availability. All of the agents have been proven to be safe, so they're not new. Some of those agents, in fact, have been used for years. What is new is the scale of this project, getting an uptake across the country to address those weeds that have a massive impact on our ecosystems. But I think the clearest proof, which you're all going to be familiar with, of the success of biocontrol is actually with rabbits. So, as you know, rabbits are the world's fastest colonising vertebrate pest. In Australia, they're a listed key threatening process, and they're known to threaten 322 native species. Since the 1950s, we've had biocontrol programs like we've used Mixo, Khaleesi, RHDV viruses, and that's delivered over $70 billion in benefits to agriculture, but we don't even know the scale of the gains for biodiversity, but they're significant. Ironically, though, we're the victim of our own success. Because those biocontrol agents have been so successful, we've got used to not seeing rabbits around, or not very much, and that's bred complacency. And what we're not looking out for is the scale of the problem that's brewing on the horizon. And this might surprise you, it certainly shocked me, because for the first time since 2007, there is no national investment in the next phase of rabbit biocontrol. Resistance in rabbit populations is emerging. Rabbit numbers are on the rise. It can take years to develop the next rabbit biocontrol, and we're in danger of losing the momentum that we've built over generations. And that's, I think, a national risk that we just can't afford to ignore. So the second priority, I would say, is digital innovation. And I think some of the most exciting and accessible advances in invasive species management are coming from digital innovation. So one that we're working on, which has been funded through the federal government's Saving Our Species program, is called Weed Remed. It's an AI-powered drone platform that uses colour swatches, texture and shape, together with machine learning to detect invasive species in big, rugged landscapes. What's really exciting is that this technology was first developed to identify threatened plants. And then it was recognised that the power of this platform could be used not just to identify threatened plants, but to detect those threats to those plants and to so much else, so to detect weeds in big landscapes. So it's at a pretty advanced stage of development at this stage. And it's going to help with the early intervention of weeds, but also in the ongoing control of weeds in big landscapes. Alongside that, we've got citizen science platforms like Feral Scan, which some of you might be familiar with. It's been out there a long time, and Weed Scan, which is quite new, still very early days. You can download it now. I'd say maybe hold off till Weed Scan 2.0 comes out, which will be soon. But they're really powerful tools which we can put directly into the hands of landholders, community groups and land management practitioners. Feral Scan allows users to log sightings and impacts like pests, foxes, cats, rabbits, deer and the like. It provides localised advice. It helps landholders create community groups and to motivate action. Weed Scan, as you can probably guess, is a new tool that supports the identification of priority weeds in the landscape. These tools, they're free, they're easy to use, they're designed to empower. They're helping us move from isolated reports to coordinated responses. Landholders can set up user groups to coordinate action, and they're a key part of that national solution. And they're more than just digital tools, because they're citizen science platforms where the data that's gathered by citizens when they report those sightings and impacts, they help build a national data set that then informs the early detection and the dynamic movement of pests and weeds across our landscapes, and that then informs rapid responses and efforts across jurisdictions. But I'd also say that citizen science alone isn't enough. We need to pair that with national coordination to turn those insights into action. And that's where the National Vertebrate Pest Coordinator programs come into play. At KISS, we house some of those, not all of them, and think, the feral rabbit coordinator, cat and fox coordinator, feral pig and deer coordinators. They do a phenomenal job. They help to put best practices into the hands of landholders and the community. They help to motivate action. They ensure that knowledge flows to where it's needed. And we need to extend that model. I'd argue that we need a national feral goat coordinator, we need a national weed coordinator, we need a list of a lot more national coordinators to motivate action, because these roles don't just improve delivery, they enable rapid adoption of best practice at scale. And just two final ones, social licence. So I think that even with the best tools and programs, we can't succeed without social licence. And interestingly, I heard just recently that last year the World Economic Forum identified misinformation and disinformation as the number one short-term risk to global security. And I would argue that that risk is magnified by just one person making the wrong choice in terms of biosecurity. One person making the wrong choice can introduce a pest or a weed that causes major damage to our biosecurity and to our economy in Australia. And public trust and understanding are critical, especially when programs involve lethal control or emerging technologies. And I just want to share a very quick story with you, because this just blew me away when I heard it. So I'm in this wonderful position, new CEO. I'm reaching out to people around the country and across the world saying, hey, what are you doing and how can we share best practices or key learnings? So this here is a sober story and a key learning. So I met with someone from the Invasive Species Council of British Columbia in Canada. And we were comparing what vertebrate pests we both share. Well, surprise, surprise, rabbits. We both have a problem with rabbits. And he told me that the problem over there is they have no social licence to control rabbits, or not to use humane intervention or lethal control. So he told me this story about how some people dumped their European rabbits at a major traffic interchange, this traffic island. And passers-by who were going past thought they were super cute. And so they would throw lettuce and carrots out the window at the rabbits, who thought it was very good, and they multiplied. Then people thought, well, maybe the rabbits are doing so well, maybe they'd like my rabbit. So then they started dumping more rabbits. And next thing, they had a really big problem. People started stopping on the major traffic interchange and having picnics with the rabbits. And finally, the authorities decided enough was enough. But they couldn't undertake any lethal control. So what did they do? They caught the rabbits. They had to neuter all the rabbits, and then they airlifted the rabbits on private charter flights to a sanctuary in Texas. I mean, there is so much that is wrong with this story. But if that's not bad enough, spare a thought for the rabbit trapper. Because, and you can look this up, I encourage you, it was 10 years ago, nearly 10 years ago. The poor rabbit trapper turned up on what he thought was the last morning to capture the last batch of rabbits, only to find that someone had dumped 20 more rabbits overnight. Now, I think for me, this story highlights that, unfortunately here, public sympathy for the rabbits overpowered the science. It's led to years of delay, extra costs, and a situation that could have been avoided early with genuine community engagement. And we can't afford to ignore social licence. We can't afford to let anything like that happen here. We need to build social licence, which means listening, communicating clearly, and ensuring that communities understand not just the why, but the what of invasive species control programs. And finally, just super quickly, I'd just like to say that my last item on here is more blue sky research. I think that technologies like GeneDry offer the potential for humane, species-specific suppression of invasive species. But budget cuts and risk aversion are putting this kind of research on the back burner for many jurisdictions, just when we need to be leaning into it. And I'd actually like to thank and congratulate the New South Wales Government, who has leaned into this, It's so important. We need the private sector, we need philanthropy, and we need all jurisdictions across government to step up and to invest in blue sky research so we can break the cycle of crisis response and deliver transformative solutions. So thank you.